What's going on, SC430 community? My name's Henry. Welcome back for another episode of Operation Frankenstein. It is episode 3. It's been a couple days. Only reason because I ended up finding out that Advanced Auto Parts in the West Coast, so right now we're in Arizona, right? They're all closing down, so all parts are about as low as 40 to 90% off all inventory. So I took advantage of that because we want to stay under that 1K budget, right? Conveniently. So spent a couple days just driving around trying to buy stuff. We'll get into that once we actually do a breakdown of what I'm installing, but found a lot of good, really good parts that are needed for this car for dirt cheap. Today's a new day. We're going to continue on with what was planned and fixing all the electrical, wiring, soldering some things back together if possible, things like that. So right now I'm in the trunk area, so going to be fixing all the wires here. So got to fix the reverse lights, side marker lights, and the amplifier. So let's get to it. Right, there you guys have it. Just put everything, resoldered everything back together, heat shrinked it, things like that to make it look nice. I kind of stuffed it back into the plastic harness, but hopefully when we plug it all back in, I took everything out just so it's easier, but hopefully when we plug everything back in, everything works as normal. But on to resoldering the driver and passenger side. Alright, so all the wires have been repaired back here, so let's see which ones that I did. I already forgot. Here we go. So this one, I put it all back in the sleeve, but you can see the heat shrink, connected everything back, no problem. Hopefully everything is still in working order. The only way to find out is when I put everything back together and put the car in accessory mode and see if the hood will work. Sometimes you have to have the engine running, sometimes you don't. We'll see. Also, forgot, had to fix these as well. So this is the side markers. It was just wires, so I cut it off the 07 to put on here. So same thing for this side. As you see, heat shrink, soldered and heat shrink, and then the reverse lights for whatever reason were cut off. So these two were ripped off the 07 as well. No idea why they cut it to begin with, but it is what it is. This one was kind of just sitting on the frame, so it was never put into the bumper. So not sure. I gotta check to see if all these bulbs work as well once we do accessory mode and check all the electricals. Just taped this one back because the wires wasn't cut. It was just the cover that was removed. Another one that was cut, ripped it off the 07 and then soldered and heat shrink back onto here. The same goes for the driver's side. Repaired all these wires back, soldered and heat shrink. This one wasn't long enough, so you can see there's a gray wire, and then I used a white and black wire and then back to gray, but it should still work, hopefully. So now probably going to clean up the fuse box that goes here, the convertible unit that goes here, and then the amplifier. I'm gonna clean it up and then plug them back in, bolt them all back down, then put the carpet all back in, and then test and then install the speakers and the radio if I have the stock one, just to test it out, and then we'll put it in accessory mode. Oh, and I probably should replace the antenna. Antenna doesn't work either. See, look at that. Completely destroyed. Yeah, I'm probably going to pull the antenna off the 07 and put it in here too as well. So, carpet install, replaced the antenna, put in the speakers, put in the OEM radio, put this back in, and then test to see if things work. We'll try to test the convertible. I highly doubt it will work in accessory mode on the O2s at least, so because it doesn't work on my O2, but we'll see. Alright, so plugging in the amplifier. This is a weird situation. These two go into the amp. This is what I pulled out of the 07, and this is what it looks like on the 02. So that plugs into here and here. But I have these two extra for whatever reason. And these two, which look like they are the ones that plug into the amp, but they're both female connectors. Or I mean, they're both male connectors. So I don't know where to plug this in, assuming that it's the right one. Let's see. No, these are different. I'm not sure, but the 07, it doesn't have these two extra ones, so I don't know what this is supposed to go to. If anybody knows, let me know, but I don't know where they go to, because I found them taped up with these plugged into it. It's just a plain one, and from looking inside, it doesn't look like there was ever any wires in it to begin with, so I have no idea. But I was thinking maybe it goes to the sub, but nope, the sub doesn't take it. And in the 2007, I only had these two plugged in, so I'm not too sure. But we're going to continue plugging everything back in, bolting everything down, put the carpet back in together, test the speakers out. I just ordered a foam kit to refoam the speakers because they are damaged, because they're old speakers that I pulled out of my 2002 SC430. So we'll make a video on how to refoam the speakers, and yeah, but for now I'm just gonna put everything in just to make sure it works. Bass, whatever, who cares? We're gonna refoam it later. Another thing I also did, this was completely bent. Sometimes the frame will bend, so you can pull this rubber piece out, and then I just used some pliers and kind of just bent it back so it looks somewhat straight now. Hopefully I won't really tell until the trunk closes, but I'll make adjustments to it as needed. And then this, where the jack would sit at, this piece was bent all the way down, so I just bent it back. Easy, no problem. Any other issues so far? Probably nothing yet. I put the new antenna back in from the 07, so luckily it's exact fit, no problem. The mast is still good. I believe the antenna still works. I would assume, but we'll see. But yeah, let's keep on going. So I ended up testing the speakers. They ended up sounding really good, even with the soldering the wires and heat shrinking them back together. They all worked perfect. I took them all out because I'm going to use part of the 1K budget to refoam all the speakers, so some of them are still in, some are not. So antenna worked as well, radio, OEM radio worked, amplifier was working. I think there might be a possible CD jam. That one we'll have to figure out. On to putting the carpet back in so we can test the hood mechanism to see if it will work without the engine running. Because if that's the case, well, I have to put everything back for the engine because it's ripped apart. This is the original one. The hose I took from the 07 because for whatever reason the hose isn't here. They probably ripped it out and it fell back in there somewhere. But I'm going to put this back in and do the same thing for the other side because it's also missing a hose. And we'll see how it looks. And boom, just like that, everything is put back together the best I could. Obviously there was some rear damage, so and the carpeting was pulled out incorrectly by the previous person, so there is some gaps from the carpet being ripped out. But I tried my best to try to bend everything back into place or bolt it down. did you end up using a couple other pieces from the other SC430 because it was missing on this car. This car didn't even have these for the net. They replaced it with just a bolt to hold down the carpet for whatever reason. Put the trunk lid carpet back on too, no problem. Oh, I forgot I need to put the package tray that goes right there. But other than that, gonna go start to see a test if the convertible top will work with just power instead of having the engine running. Those two lights work. I have the battery disconnected right now, so that's why it's not on. And then on to doing the carpeting on the inside and reassembling everything back in there up until the point where I can do some refurbishing and other things like that. Other than that, let's keep going. Alrighty. So, started putting everything back in. Started with the nav, tested all the speakers, electricals, they all work very well. I currently have this, I was putting it back in, then took it out because I need to replace the bulbs, so I had those ordered. There's one for the glove box, one for the footwell, and then there's one for the footwell over there. Still waiting on the refoam for the speakers, and then fix the door here. What else did I not? Put the cluster back in, so I did confirm that this car has 151,000 miles, so from the old registration, there's only been, without showing someone else's information on it, I think they only put like 1,000 miles on it, I believe. I tried to test the convertible to see if it would work with just the battery. It doesn't. It just does that typical blinking. So maybe the engine has to be running, because in my SC430, I have to have the engine running. Also fixed the trunk latch. Found out when I had the trunk closed, even though it was all the way closed, it would only open up like that much, like just an inch, and then it would just go back down like this. So, found out that this piece was completely broken. Not the actual latch itself, but the cable that's connected to it that connects from the bottom and then follows all the way up into the convertible mechanism. So that's basically how the trunk, kind of opens up vertically, right? So the hood can go in here. So that cable, for whatever reason, was broken on this end and on this end. So this latch was free. So this latch, typically when you have the convertible mechanism going, right, you hold the button. This would pop open, right? It would hold the trunk. It would move the trunk upward in the vertical position, let the hood go down, yada yada. Then the trunk would go down, and then this would go down. So this does come up and down. So I found out it was broken because I could pull this freely up and down, no problem. And then when I started disassembling everything, I found out that the cable was broken. So I ripped the cable off of that one, put it on here, and now the trunk closes perfectly. Now, to test, obviously, convertible, we'll have to put everything back. I went ahead and put this back on. This is definitely the wrong bolt, but, I'm just using whatever I have, and it fits. It's a 10mm anyway. So this is in. Bulbs work there. Bulbs work. Everything here. I think I'm just mainly waiting for bulbs for the interior. And then I need to order a aftermarket radio, so we're going to have to do all that shenanigans. That's going to take a big hit in our 1K budget just because of the radio. Are typically around $200-ish, so that's going to take a huge chunk out of it. So hopefully we'll still stay in the budget with the whole Advance Auto Parts sale that they have going on. But other than that, I think we are done for this episode. Next episode, we're going to start doing some engine work, start putting everything back together and such. And then hopefully maybe we can see if we can get the actual engine up and running again, and then again test a convertible piece, and then start putting everything back together, and then do body work and all that, yada yada yada. But other than that, see you next episode.